What's up, Commanders fans? This team just keeps fighting, learning, and trying to perfect every single detail, because that's what it takes to bring big results to DC. We've seen the ups and downs, but one thing's clear. Dan Quinn's squad refuses to quit. And today, we've got the kind of update every Commanders fan has been waiting for. Before we dive into it, if you're excited to see this team getting healthier and hungrier heading into Week 5, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to Commanders HQ, your home for everything burgundy and gold. Let's get into it. Finally, some good news on the injury front for the Washington Commanders. After what's felt like weeks of bad luck, the tide might finally be turning. Head coach Dan Quinn confirmed that Jayden Daniels, the Commanders' electric rookie quarterback, has been medically cleared to return. That's right, QB1 is back. And as if that wasn't enough, his top weapon, Deebo Samuel Sr., is also expected to be on the field after battling a heel issue. At the beginning of the week, things didn't look great. Deebo missed practices on Wednesday and Thursday, leaving fans nervous. But by Friday, he was back in full action, showing no limitations. That means Washington heads into Sunday's clash against the Chargers with their two most dynamic offensive pieces ready to roll. For a team desperate to bounce back after a tough loss to Atlanta, this is massive. Washington's offense simply hasn't been the same without Daniels' dual-threat magic and Deebo's physical presence. But now, both are returning at a crucial moment. Let's be honest, the Commanders' wide receiver room has been banged up and underperforming. On opening day, the trio of Deebo Samuel, Terry McLaurin, and Noah Brown looked like one of the deepest groups in the NFC. Fast forward to Week 5, and both McLaurin and Brown are out. The numbers speak for themselves. Those two combined for just 13 catches, 185 yards, and no touchdowns before getting sidelined. Compare that to what McLaurin alone averaged last season, that's a massive drop-off. That's why having Deebo back is such a big deal. He leads the team in every major receiving category so far this year and has been a force in the running game too, averaging over 6.5 yards per carry. He's also stepped up as a vocal leader on the field, especially while McLaurin's been sidelined amid contract tension earlier in the offseason. The Commanders have tried to fill the gaps, calling up young receivers like Jalen Lane and journeymen like Chris Moore. Rookie Luke McCaffrey has flashed with back-to-back games with touchdowns, but outside of that, Washington's passing game has struggled to find rhythm. This week, the team even added Robbie Chosen. You might remember him as Robbie Anderson, a former deep ball specialist, hoping to spark some vertical production. It's been nearly a decade since Chosen's prime, but with the Commanders' depth tested to the limit, don't be surprised if he gets a few looks on Sunday. And keep your eyes on Ja'Cory Brooks, too. The preseason standout might finally get a shot. But here's the thing. This week won't be easy. The Los Angeles Chargers, under head coach Jim Harbaugh, have quietly built one of the league's toughest defenses. They're ranked 3rd overall in total yards allowed and 1st against the pass. That means Jayden Daniels is stepping right into the fire in his return game. The Chargers don't give up big plays easily, and they've made life miserable for opposing quarterbacks all season long. So what's the game plan? Run the ball, control the tempo, and keep Justin Herbert watching from the sideline. That's the formula Washington wants. And it's why Deebo's return matters just as much to the ground game as it does through the air. His blocking, his jet sweeps, and his versatility make him the heartbeat of the offense when things get tough. Still, as much as Washington wants to pound the rock, they'll need some explosive plays to stay in this game. The Chargers, even without both starting offensive tackles this week, still have one of the league's most dangerous passing attacks. If the Commanders fall behind early, Daniels will need to take shots. And that's where Deebo's toughness and after-the-catch ability could turn the tide. Now, let's talk about Jayden Daniels. The rookie sensation returns after missing 2 games with a sprained knee. And while his knee is better, the big question is, can he protect himself? Daniels has already taken too many hits early in his career, including 7 sacks in the first 2 games this season. His style of play, fast, fearless, and physical, makes him special, but it also puts his body at risk. Dan Quinn was crystal clear about that this week. The head coach told reporters, quote, "Even though he's done tremendously through the first year, he's still a young player. There are still things to grow and learn. When to let a play go, when to slide, when to throw it away. You don't want to take away his competitive nature, but those decisions can keep him on the field and keep us winning. I'm certain he'll get there." End quote. Quinn's message? Be smart, not reckless. Daniels doesn't need to play hero ball, he just needs to be available. And here's an interesting wrinkle. For the first time in his career, Daniels will be wearing a knee brace on Sunday. He admitted it's not his favorite piece of gear, but he'll do whatever it takes to stay healthy. The team has emphasized that there likely won't be many designed QB runs this week. The focus will be on a clean pocket, quick decisions, and efficient execution. If Washington's offensive line, now shuffled again due to injuries, can give Daniels time, expect Cliff Kingsbury to get creative with motion, play action, and quick passes to get the offense back in rhythm. This matchup against the Chargers might not define the entire season, but it could set the tone for what's ahead. At 2-4, the Commanders are sitting right in the middle of the NFC pack. A win in Los Angeles could launch them back into momentum and silence a lot of early season noise. But beyond the scoreboard, this game is about more than wins and losses. It's about seeing if this team can respond when adversity hits. Can Daniel bounce back and play smart, efficient football? Can Debo continue to be that emotional spark that keeps everyone locked in? Can the young receivers step up with the spotlight on them? Washington's front office, led by Adam Peters, has built this roster with grit and resilience in mind. And now, in a moment where injuries have tested their depth, they'll get to see if that foundation holds up. Injuries. That's been the word hanging over the Washington Commanders through the early part of 2025. It's been brutal. One after another, key names dropping, forcing Adam Peters and the front office to dig deep into their depth chart. The defensive line in particular has been hit hard. First came the loss of Dietrich Wise, who tore his quadriceps in Week 2 against the Packers, a massive blow to the rotation. Then, to plug the hole, Washington brought back a familiar face in Preston Smith, a move that had fans buzzing, but he hasn't seen the field just yet.
And just when you thought things couldn't get thinner, Javonte Jean-Baptiste, the 2024 seventh rounder who'd been showing promise, was sent to injured reserve. That left Washington dangerously light at one of the most crucial positions in Dan Quinn's defensive system, edge rusher. But here's where it gets interesting. Word just dropped that the Commanders are hosting a visit with former San Francisco 49ers defensive end Drake Jackson. And this one has some serious intrigue. Now, if that name sounds familiar, it should. Drake Jackson was a second-round pick by the 49ers in 2022, and guess who was in San Francisco's front office at the time? That's right, Adam Peters. So this isn't just another random workout. This is a GM revisiting a player he once believed in. Peters saw firsthand the raw athleticism and burst Jackson brought coming out of USC, traits that made him one of the most exciting young edge prospects in that class. In his first 2 seasons, he showed flashes, 6 sacks in 23 games, some highlight pressures, and a motor that made coaches excited about his development. But then disaster struck. A torn patellar tendon that ended his 2023 season and kept him off the field for nearly 2 years. For many players, that's a career ender, but not for Drake Jackson. He fought his way back. Long rehab days, months of uncertainty, and now he's finally been medically cleared to play again. That alone tells you something about this guy's mindset. He's not done yet. And with Washington in need of a spark at defensive end, the timing feels perfect. Let's look at the current picture. With Wise and Jean-Baptiste out, the Commanders are leaning heavily on Durance Armstrong, who's been terrific so far, and Jacob Martin, who's filled in admirably. But after them, depth gets thin fast. Preston Smith hasn't been active yet, and Jalen Holmes is more of a rotational piece. Washington simply doesn't have that next man up ready to take meaningful snaps if another injury strikes. Enter Drake Jackson. For Washington, this isn't about bringing in a superstar. It's about finding a guy with upside, familiarity, and motivation. And with Peters' connection to Jackson, there's a trust level already in place. Remember, Peters helped draft this kid. He knows his personality, his work ethic, and his potential fit in a system like Dan Quinn's, which thrives on versatile, high-motor pass rushers. And let's be honest, what better place for a player trying to resurrect his career than under a defensive coach like Quinn? Of course, Washington isn't the only team sniffing around. According to reports, both the New York Jets and the Baltimore Ravens have scheduled meetings with Jackson as well. Those are two franchises known for strong defensive identities. But here's the difference. Washington offers a clearer path to playing time. In New York, Jackson would be buried behind a deep defensive front. In Baltimore, he'd be fighting to even make the rotation. But in DC, the door is wide open. If he impresses in his workout and earns a contract, Jackson could easily find himself rotating in by midseason, maybe even carving out a role as a situational rusher. And considering Washington's current depth chart, the opportunity is real. Armstrong and Kinlaw have been solid, Darren Payne continues to dominate the middle, but they need more firepower coming off the edge. Jackson wouldn't just fill a roster spot, he could add juice to the pass rush rotation, something Washington desperately needs as they try to hold their defense together through all these injuries. There's also a bigger story here. Drake Jackson's comeback isn't just about football, it's about perseverance. Imagine going from being a second-round pick, a rising star, to wondering if your body would ever let you play again. Then imagine clawing your way back one painful rehab day at a time, only to finally earn another chance. That's the kind of mindset Dan Quinn loves. That's the type of player who fits the culture Adam Peters is building, one based on grit, humility, and redemption. Even if Jackson starts out on the practice squad, it's the kind of move that sends a message to the locker room. This team values fighters, guys who don't quit when things get tough. And let's face it, for a team that's been battered by injuries, adding a story like this could do more than just fill a depth chart. It could lift spirits inside the building. So here we are. Jaden's back, Debo's back, and the Commanders are walking into a massive test against one of the AFC's toughest teams. If they can pull this off, it could be a statement win that reminds everyone in the NFL that this Washington team isn't going away quietly. But what do you think, Commanders fans? Will Jaden Daniels' return spark this team back to life? Can Debo keep his hot start going and carry this offense while McLaren recovers? And most importantly, do you believe this group can make a statement win on the road in LA? Drop your thoughts down below in the comments. I want to hear your take on this one. And if you're loving the energy from this team, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to Commanders HQ, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update from us. Because this season, this new era of Washington football is just getting started. Let's go, Commanders!